So hi guys, welcome to the Ask Me Anything session by Design and Code. And yeah, so first of all, I would like to thank everyone who shared their ideas and questions to us, and so that we can give you a good answers about it. So first of all, what's AMA by Design and Code? So it's kind of an initiative by us to help young creators, developers, and designers to ask the questions. So you get a platform where you can ask questions to us, and also we would try to bring in experts for answering your questions. So let's start the first session. So the, I could say it's a disclaimer. I haven't made a good uh, research and a background check of every questions. I just uh, read all the questions once, and I wanted to make it more natural and and spontaneous answer from my side. So let's start with the session. I could give a small brief about me. uh, I am a product designer. Like I graduated as an engineer, and then for last 2.5 3 years I have been into a design field. 3 years ago I started design and code, and then with the help of good people and the founding members, so we grew very much, and we are able to do bigger things like hackathons and workshops for free. And recently, 4 months ago, I and two of my friends started Figma Mumbai community, which is an official community supported by Figma. It's more about design and the tool around it. So let's start with the session. So the first question I got was, so all the questions are in the chronological order. So the first question I got was, how can we design an app which looks pleasing to the user? Like how to start and lead the journey. So I would like to answer the first question in two parts. The first part would be how to make the app look pleasing. Uh, it's kind of, you need to understand how you can make, how do you understand the design part? How can you make it better in the visual stuff, also basically the UI stuff and the UX stuff. The second part for this answer is how to start and lead the journey. You, for this thing, you need to understand the exact, not the exact, but you need to understand the journey of the user, how he or she might be using the particular app or a website or any software you want to build. um, you need to understand the psychology behind every click or every action that might be done on your software, app, or website. uh, you also need to understand the things which might stimulate in the user's mind when a particular action or a pop-up or any kind of an interaction is done on your app. The second thing, you are asking if you suggest to use Adobe for anything, how to get it for free. That's kind of piracy that I don't support right now. Uh, cause cause can't pay per month to Adobe as I'm a student. So for there are many alternatives right now available for designing tools and all. So if I say, if you want to become a UI UX designer, you could start using Figma. It's a web-based tool where you can start designing your thing. If you want to go for an alternative for Illustrator, you could use Inkscape, which is an open source tool. It's also available on Linux-based OS. Um, there are many different tools which basically replaces Adobe Suite, but it's the combination of all the tools which Adobe is able to sell you. And the second part I would suggest is, there is discounts for students if you want to use Adobe for exclusively Adobe tools. There is like a 50% off for Adobe students who can avail the offer. The second thing, and And the thing after that is you shouldn't be thinking that if you're a student you can't pay for that thing. Get good projects, get things which you are able to earn from, and yeah, it won't be burden for you if you think that this is a thing, because right tools can give you right opportunities, and right opportunities can lead to more money, and you can basically, it's a cycle where investing into right things could give you a right returns. uh so thanks, VV, I don't know the name, but it's VV, for this question. uh what's your favorite tool in Figma? So Figma is itself a tool. I would say I could talk about a feature that I like. I would say Figma's favorite feature would be the commenting system, because when you're collaborating with people, collaborating with a product manager or a developer, they could just add the comments into your design. You could give them feedback. It's a very good thing. Second thing I would say, it's it's the shared functionality which could be used without installing an app. You just share a link to your product manager or the developers, and they could start using your designs on the go. They do not need to install Photoshop or or Sketch or something, or XD something. So yeah, that's two of my favorite tools. Thanks for asking that question. This is kind of a very interesting question, and this was also a question which I was facing when I wanted to start into my design career. So I am completely new to the design. I want to know what exactly falls under the design section, and how to get started with the basics and any helpful resources. So if you are saying what comes under the design section, so there are many things. I would say it's the basic, which is like already known to people, are graphic designing, which goes into illustrations and uh, creating icons and artworks, graphic works. Then it's into the UI UX part, where you uh, build build screens and journey to, what I can say is, for a particular app or a software or a website. Then now the design industry is changing into specialties. So if even in the UX designer role, there are UX researchers, there are UX, um, like proper UX designer which documents all the journeys and document everything. Then you could go into, if like after a couple of years you could go into design management. And also this is kind of a digital designing what I talked about. Then you can go into like creating like beautiful, like amazing design works, or like you could go into space design, basically designing a good space around like office or interior designing. There are many things you could go into design. I am a digital designer, which is mostly focused towards creating websites, app, and software. So this is what I could say. What goes into the design section. So how to get started with the things are just, there are many articles and many resources you can just go and check, and like just read from the experts, and the insights you get from are reading articles, watching videos, might be a tremendous help for you to jump in your career. And I would suggest just dive into the thing, start making things which you think like you want to learn or you want to grow into. For me myself, like 3 years ago I started thinking of making apps and websites which I feel are not good enough in right now in the market, and then make my own solution and then compare it to the experts. You can find like design experts on Dribble or Behance, or like ask other people what are the things which you think are missing, and try to understand. Feedback is the most important thing for a designer to grow. uh, like don't be afraid to get failed, and like don't be uh, angry about if someone is giving you a feedback. Maybe that feedback could lead to a good solution. Any helpful resources? So for resources, I would suggest you could start reading Medium. Follow the companies you think are good in design. For me, particular, it's Dropbox, Atlassian, Mailchimp. For enterprise level, you could go for Google, IBM, but the feel of Mailchimp and Dropbox is much more into energetic, vibrant, and not an enterprise level design thing. You could follow that thing. There are many even podcasts you could listen to. I could make a list of podcasts which like you could listen to. There are many Instagram pages you can follow to like basically just learn from the experts, implement into your own solutions, and improve your skills. Okay. Then the next question is, I know it. This is a funny question and a good question to answer. It's like I know it is silly to ask, but design में पैसा है क्या? Basically, is asking if like the design industry has money into it. And like compared to the coding industry, I'm passionate about designing, but all my peers are working on the ML AI trend, which is making me insecure because design is not popular. What he thinks, and compared to compared to those programming stuff. So after this question, what what I did was just went to Glassdoor. Glassdoor is basically a platform where you can search salaries, search jobs, and it's a huge uh, tool in this industry. So I would show the numbers like in the next slide. But if you think you are passionate about design and you are afraid that this trend of AI ML would like you would miss that thing. So I would say if you want to build your career in like designing and like so basically this type of trends are not like a clothing trend or a color trend or a hairstyle trend. Like in couple of years like jeans might be a different thing or something. This is something which you would be doing for a long time in your life, and a lot of investment is in like money, time, and efforts has been invested into a particular thing to be like built as a skill. And if you think like you are very good at AI ML, you could go for that thing. But if you say you are passionate about uh, learning and growing into a design field, so I would suggest uh, try both of the things. And like if you say you're passionate, you just need to go in, because let's see a typical uh, scenario in an office life. So you go for a 9 to 5 job which is about 8 to 9 hours. uh, about one third of your day is been uh, given in for a work, and if you don't like the thing which you are doing, it would be a torture for you. Like one third of your day is a torture for you and one third day is a sleep for you. Then the torture, the other rest one third part would be like grieving about why are you not doing that thing or that thing. But if you like something, if you say you're passionate about designing and if you like that thing, uh, it would be a joy and a happy situation for you to be, because you would be happy doing the things you want and you would be doing much more good rather than being in a situation where you don't like about it. Okay, so yeah, and the numbers after this thing. So I made a quick search. This is what a software engineer in India might get after graduation. It's an average number. It could go below like uh, 3 lakh. Like it could go up to like minimum 3 lakh to 12 lakh. But this differs as per your skills and the confidence you have and the skill sets you have. This is what a quick search about average software engineers got me, and this is what a quick search about UI UX designer, which is kind of a first design field an engineer might want to go. Like this is the difference. It's about 1.1 lakh something. Like yeah, 1.1 lakh. So पैसा है भाई, industry में पैसा है. And if you know how to charge people and if you know how to like get the skills you want, and also like be good at it. Like basically, if you are good at it, people would always love to work with you. Okay. So thanks for this question. This was actually a very good question to answer because most of the people go into peer pressure and uh, they don't know what they want to do in their life, because college is about fun and all, but you also need to understand that this is the stage where you need to decide what you like and maybe go into that design. It's not a strict rule that you want to know, but it might be helpful and might save some time for your future career. Yeah. Uh, so the best design book to read on design, I would say for me it was Rework, it was Design of Everyday Things, then Sprint, and so I have made on like open, yeah. So it's Rework. It's a good book about how you can change the work style you are doing. Design as art. It's so it shows as like there are people usually think design is as a art thing, but both of them are a very different thing, and you need to understand that thing and how a design could go into art and it's a good book if you want to read that thing. Sprint is written by Jake Knapp, and which is how to build a product in a short amount of time. This the Jake Knapp was an ex-employee at Google Ventures, which is a company owned by Google, which invests into companies, into young startups and all. So they had this thing how to. So basically, the title also says solve big problems and test new ideas in just 5 days. Basically, you sit down and they have this phases where you want to test some ideas and understand where is your idea worth investing in more time into it. The fourth book would be Hooked, which is kind of how you can design products which like people might want to use. Basically, you every youngster I see right now is hooked into Instagram, or like I don't know what's going wrong with us. People are using TikTok, and like how are this product built us built for us psychologically, and how are we hooked for using it now, like for a long duration of time, and that type of information that has been like given in this book. Other than that, I haven't read this books. This is a book recommendation from Chris Do. If you know, he's a great guy. He's a great influencer in the design business industry. He also made like a 9 book suggestions over here. So I haven't read it. I would share this list with you like in a post or a story with uh, on this thing. Okay, so let's continue with the thing. Figma plugin that I use. One second. So Figma plugins that I use, I would say I haven't been using Figma plugins for an but yeah, there are a couple of plugins that I use. One is this Unsplash thing. I could just get good images from it if I'm making what I say a card where like a suggestion card or a recommendation card. I can just add it over here, or I can search about uh, portraits and add people's photo to it. Like it makes it makes the whole process of finding good photos for your project and all. Unsplash is one thing. Then I like this tool, but I haven't been using much. It's Mapsicle. It's like uh, you could have a proper screenshot of a map if you want, like to show this is a map, which many websites show in the about us page or a location page. So you could just add this, but it's if say my office is in Berkeley, just add this thing. The screenshot for that thing would be added to this thing. So it makes the finding a map for a design is difficult. Then I want to use this Google Sheets thing. Is basically you make your database in Google Sheets, and all the data has been imported, like l- the dates and the name of the people, photos, and that could be fetched from the Google Sheet. Another interesting plugin I found is charts. Right now, into a company where we use charts and pie charts, donor charts, but basically showing a lot of information. This is kind of a very helpful tool for us just to see. If I see add chart, it's basically add the chart to this, and it makes the whole process much more quicker for us. Yeah. So this is a tool plugin which I use in Figma. For like a couple of months back, I was using Sketch for as in my office. So there's a plugin called Craft, which is an uh, amazing tool by InVision, which basically allows us to fill in data, to sync it with InVision, and like yeah, it's see syncing, prototyping. You can add your elements to design systems, data. You could add in images and all that things. So yeah, this were the plugins I used to use. Uh, okay, this is a good question. Suggest design related things that every developer should know. Usually there's a question that should designers code or should designers know about developing and all. But this is kind of a reverse question, and this made me think about what developers might want to like learn about design things. Okay, so first of all, understand uh, understand the things as a user. So how is this particular user flow is been designed or developed, and you could understand by going through the screens which your designers might have shared with you. Understand what makes a good uh, flow or a good design. Basically, understand basic color theory, understand hierarchy about typography. Uh, but this is a good thing if you are a developer and you know about designing. There's a term for this thing is you become a unicorn. Basically, you are a master of design and also the development part, and people may pay more money for you, and it's a good opportunity as a freelancer if you want to do that thing. So yeah, basically understand the text hierarchy, color theory, and the user flow, and how you could think about the user while developing a particular software or an app as a developer. This is also an interesting question. In the world of Wix, Squarespace, and other template-based resources, how can a designer make more difference? So I've been saying this thing for a very long time that you don't become a designer if you know how to use Photoshop. There are many things you need to know if you want to become a good designer. Basically, what my thing was that if you know Photoshop, you don't become a designer. Basically, if you know how to use Wix or Squarespace or other template resources, you don't become a good designer, because design is not just about the visual stuffs, but it's more of creating a great user experience, understanding which things go well with things, hierarchy about like text colors, and also uh, I would say uh, templates don't understand the feelings of user. You A person knows person better, and a person can understand what a particular uh, interaction or a design element might trigger into someone's mind, and designers need to understand that thing. You need to understand. So templates don't uh, designers need to understand that psychology is a part of your design things. Making a great user experience is a part of your design process. So templates, no doubt, templates make it easier for people who are not good at design for making good things. but you need to understand it's more than just the visual stuff. You need to, and also, uh, I suggest myself suggest like every designer should learn a thing about developing and also a thing about marketing and business, because as a designer you try to solve many problems, and business is also one problem. How to grow a business, that's one problem which you might want to solve it with a good design. Okay, so yeah, so it's much more than the visual stuffs over here. What developing constraints need to be kept while designing a website or an app? First of all, thanks Akshay for asking this question. There are many things which a designer might want to think while developing a website or an app, or like development constraints which might be thought of. First of all, you need to have a proper grade system and you need to follow that thing. So in development and creating websites or app, you have a grid system where you want to like size your particular element as per the grid, and designers need to know how a grid system works. So you need to follow a grid system, understand how like every icon you make should be enclosed into a proper square. Basically what it means is every let me have the example for you over here. So let's say this is an icon. Let's say it's 24 by 24 icon, and there might be many icons which would be like uh, horizontally elongated, or similarly they might be vertically designed. So while there are many icons which are of different shape and size, for developer it becomes easier if you give them into an enclosed. Just color them. Okay. So when you have a square enclosed to the icon, it makes much more easier to develop a particular thing. I would say just do this thing, like make it open, group it. Like, similarly, you can do this thing over here also. What happens here is you get a consistent height and a particular, like you see you get a proper size and a width, like height and width for the particular icon, and it makes much more easier for a developer to insert an icon or a particular artwork into your design. Basically what happens in, because you are giving them in a pixel, like let's say you are making a website where you say that this particular text is like 24 pixels right to the particular icon, but if you change an icon which is not vertical and horizontal, not vertical but horizontal, it pushes the text much more towards the right. You need to understand that this virtual box is kind of saying that this is the frame in which all the icons will be fitting in. Then this is an helpful thing if you want. Give a proper naming to every assets you are designing and every assets you are giving it to developers. You also need to understand, like have a consistency across your design. Have a proper text hierarchy design. Have a proper color set design, because when you are, for example, you are developing a website where you need to give IDs and class to elements to make it to for giving it a styling to it using CSS. uh, in design tools it's much more easier. You just change the size and change the color of it, but when developing it's a pain for developers. So I would suggest have a proper textile design, have a proper color set design for the whole project, and it makes much more easier for developers to go ahead and build the things. So yeah, Uh, I didn't get this question properly. If like, let me reframe the question for you. It's basically code, how to code, or what particular tool you might be, or any coding things you might want to uh, use it for design, or the designers might want to code. I would suggest designers, if like if you are able to understand how developing and how coding is done, do that thing. It's much more helpful for designers and developers to talk around, and uh, you also understand much more uh, things much more in depth when compared to other designers which are from the design school. So designing softwares I personally use is Figma or Adobe Illustrator and Sketch. These are the three tools which like my work requires. And developing systems. So I didn't get the thing. You could just comment this particular question again into the video, and I would just reply it over there also. So sorry, Sevani, wasn't a help over here. I just didn't get the question properly over here. Okay, so this is also a good question. What are future opportunities in design after graduation? So I myself am engineer graduated this year, and I'm myself into the design field. So of course, I would say there are good opportunities in design after graduation. But you need to understand that you need to be good at what you are talking about and what you want to become. So I myself started like designing 3 years ago, and while graduating this year, I was much more acquainted with tools and much more acquainted with the design things that a designer want to know, and which helped me finding a good job. So yeah, there are opportunities, there are things which, so even if you say like let's connect the previous question, like AI ML like after what happens after AI ML automates most of the things, but there are things in design which cannot be automated. For example, psychology and understanding what a particular user might feel, or like these are the things that I don't think is like easier to automate. And also even in future, if I think in an Indian ecosystem, I would say design is kind of a new thing right now. Like people are now understanding how design is important for a business, how is design important to grow your sales or grow your marketing XYZ. There are much more opportunities when compared to previous years. Yeah, like you can become a good designer after graduation, and if you are an engineer or something, it's much more helpful for you to solve a particular problem. Any competitive entrance exam in design. So, when compared to engineering exams, we have like MHCET for Maharashtra or JEE for IITs and all. But in design, institutes usually run autonomous, and every design college has their own exam. For example, NID, National Institute of Design, have their own entrance exam. Have if you want to go into fashion technology, like NIFT. National Institute of Fashion Technology, they have their own entrance exam. For IITs, IIT SEED. So there are different exams for different colleges to get into. So there's no particular. I wouldn't say like there is no particular one universal design exam, because every college teaches you design in a different way, and they want their style to be like a student could understand their style and can be capable at that level of the exam. So that's why every design college has their own different design exams. Is it preferable to do post graduation in design after graduation? I would say yes, if you are able to go into a good design college. Uh, if you are able to get an equivalent experience over a year also, it's uh, much more beneficial. If like I would suggest to go for a post graduation in design, because uh, institutes could give you an infrastructure to experiment, to learn from the experts. But if you are able to do that thing with your own skills and like doing internships and doing projects and all, uh, yeah, it's there's just that you get an infrastructure and a lab for experimenting your design ideas if you want to go ahead in design. So I myself, and yeah, of course, if you have the like uh budget and all the things made it proper for the education. And yeah, if you want to learn more into design, it's just you could go and have a post graduation degree. But for me it was going into industry quickly and uh, start doing things that I want to build. So I started understanding design thing from my second year, and then directly went to for a job. And like for the past 2 3 years, it's a decent experience, as per the uh, master's level. So I would say that if you are able to do equivalent experience, that's also a good enough thing for that thing. What are your future plans in your design career? So right now, where I am, I'm getting a good opportunity to lead the team over there. I am able to like build a team. I'm currently recruiting designers for my team, and like it's a good opportunity for me. For future, I would say uh, I want to move into more of a managerial role, or maybe just start my own thing and don't think about my design career as much. uh yeah, so I haven't much figured out that what my design career would look like, but what for me it would be more into building good things and maybe build my own thing and maybe a startup or something. Yeah. What is the scene of doing masters in design or something equivalent to it? So it's basically the same answer as this thing. Question number 13 is understanding if you are able to do the masters. It's for the institute and infrastructure and the name behind your education. So this is the last question we have for this particular presentation. Process to become a UI UX designer. What and from where should we learn? So I would say there's a process for becoming a designer. Is basically dive into, for me, for as per my experience, it's dive into the field, understand and read from the people, and experiment with your own and don't be afraid to ask questions at the right place, and just be curious about how this particular thing has been designed or developed from for when a good app has been designed or there's a redesigning or a rebranding of a thing, I just go and read, and you would say I would stalk the whole company and understand why they did this thing, why are they doing this thing, and really go into a nitty gritty parts of everything that is related to designing and the development of that thing, and basically learn from experts, meet people, go to meetups. Design and code is also here to help you. You can ask us questions. You could just tweet us or DM us in Instagram or mail us ki, this is what I want to learn, can you share me a resource, and we would be happy to do that thing. Read articles, understand. You could go to YouTube. You can follow uh, the future, which is a good channel if you want to. I could make I can share a good list of art resources which might be helpful for young designers. So yeah, this was a good question which we had. We got a good response for our first Ask Me Anything session, and yeah, we are happy to be doing this type of question answer session for a long time. Uh, so people might want to ask when is the next Ask Me Anything session. So what we are planning is every month for the first and the third Sundays, we would have this type of question answer section, and basically bi-weekly session. And if you have any questions, you could just comment it into the uh, so this particular video would be going on YouTube and as well as on IGTV. So you could just comment there also. So uh, yeah, so we are happy to be able to help you in this format, and hope you guys hope you guys like this particular format and you are much more interested into asking more questions. So how do you connect with me is basically following and connecting with me on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. This particular Instagram handle is for my particular design work. You could just remove the design part, underscore in design part, and it's my personal uh, Instagram. You could just share me a tweet, and we could have a conversation over there also. LinkedIn is a good place where we can have a conversation. So this is connecting with me. And how do you connect with DNC? There are many ways you could. We have made it much more easier for you to connect. Like we have been on every platform, Instagram, Twitter, uh, website, email, LinkedIn. You could even WhatsApp us on this number. We would be happy for that thing also. So yeah, this was the whole session for like Ask Me Anything by DNC. So let us know how do you like it, and also show us some love if you found it helpful, and share it with your friends and tell them this is what they could learn and this is what they would find interesting. Okay, hope you guys like it, and bye bye.